What if the most beautiful being ever, created, became the darkest force in the universe? Before he was called Satan, he was known by another name, Lucifer. That name didn't mean evil. It meant light-bearer, the morning star, the brightest of all heavenly hosts. He wasn't born in hellfire. He was born in heaven's radiance, crafted by the very hands of the Creator, cloaked in beauty beyond comprehension, crowned with wisdom, grace, and glory. He didn't slither in shadows. He stood in the presence of God. Lucifer wasn't just another angel. He was an archangel, exalted, majestic, and dazzling in splendor. If angels were stars in the sky, Lucifer was the supernova. The Bible hints at his magnificence in passages that speak of a guardian cherub, anointed, adorned with precious stones, dwelling on the holy mount of God, walking among the fiery stones. He was perfect in his ways from the day he was created until pride was found in him. That pride, invisible and silent at first, grew like a sickness within him. He looked upon his own glory and whispered to himself, "Why should I bow? Why not rise?" Worshipping God was no longer enough. He wanted the throne. He wanted to ascend above the stars of heaven and make himself like the Most High. That desire, the first seed of rebellion, turned the most radiant of angels into the adversary of all things divine. This wasn't just defiance. It was betrayal at a cosmic scale. A being entrusted with the divine presence chose instead to challenge the very source of his own existence. The heavens trembled, not with fear, but with heartbreak. For the first time, love was met with hatred. Order was met with defiance. Light was stained with pride. Lucifer's fall was not a battle of equals. It wasn't an epic fight for the throne. It was the self-destruction of a star. The light he once bore now turned against him. He was cast out of heaven, not because God feared him, but because heaven could not hold a heart corrupted by envy and arrogance. And so the morning star fell, not like a warrior defeated, but like a firework burning itself out. That fall marked the birth of Satan, not as a name, but as a nature. Satan means the accuser, the adversary, the opposer. He became everything he once stood against. His beauty twisted into deception, his wisdom into manipulation, his desire for power into a thirst for domination. From light-bearer to lord of lies, his story is not one of transformation, but of distortion. And here's the terrifying part. He didn't lose his charm. He didn't shed his intelligence. He didn't forget how to lead. He used everything he once was to become everything he should never have been. That's why evil often appears seductive, not monstrous. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled wasn't convincing the world he doesn't exist. It was using beauty to mask decay. When Lucifer became Satan, he didn't come alone. He drew a third of heaven's angels with him, beings who chose allegiance to pride over allegiance to truth. They weren't forced or tricked. They followed willingly, seduced by his charisma, blinded by his vision of power without submission. These fallen angels became demons, not by change of form, but by change of purpose. And humanity? We entered the story later, but we were immediately caught in the crossfire. In the garden, Satan didn't strike with a sword, he whispered. Did God really say? The weapon was not violence, but doubt. And with one question, paradise began to unravel. He didn't force rebellion, he offered it. That's how darkness works. It never kicks the door in, it waits for you to unlock it. But why would a perfect God create a being capable of such rebellion? Because love without freedom is not love. Lucifer had a choice. Angels had a choice. We have a choice. And the risk of choice is the possibility of betrayal. But the reward of choice is the beauty of genuine love. God didn't create Satan, he created Lucifer. Satan was a decision. This story isn't about horns and pitchforks. It's about the fragile line between glory and pride, between serving and ruling, between love and control. The tragedy of Lucifer is that he had everything, but wanted more. Not more goodness, more glory, not more purpose, more power. To this day, his war continues, not with fire and brimstone, but with lies wrapped in light. Satan doesn't come with red eyes and claws. He comes in dreams that seem noble, desires that feel righteous, and paths that look promising but lead to ruin. He still whispers. He still accuses. He still tempts. But above all, he still remembers who he used to be. And that memory fuels his rage. Lucifer fell not just from heaven, but from who he was. That's why his story is more than myth. It's a mirror. Every soul that seeks greatness without humility dances dangerously close to his path. Every heart that demands a crown without a cross walks toward the same fall. Pride still kills. Not suddenly, but silently. Not with a roar, but with a whisper that says, "You deserve more." And yet the story doesn't end with his rebellion. For all his rage, Satan is not God's rival. He is God's creation. He is not equal and opposite. He is defeated, though still dangerous. His power is limited. His time is short. His end is written. But until that day comes, he roams, not with chains, but with charm. He offers kingdoms without crosses, wisdom without obedience, and light that burns rather than illuminates. He knows Scripture. He knows human weakness. He knows how to twist truth until it sounds like freedom but ends in bondage. Still, even in his rise and fall, a deeper truth echoes. No amount of beauty, intelligence, or power can save a heart corrupted by pride. And no amount of darkness can ever extinguish true light. Lucifer's descent is not just the oldest tragedy, it's the loudest warning, because in him we see the potential of every soul gifted with greatness. Will we carry that greatness in humility or twist it in rebellion? He was the most beautiful angel. Now he's the darkest enemy, not because he lacked light, but because he loved it too much for himself. And that perhaps is the most haunting part of all. And yet, even in his corruption, Lucifer retained one terrifying gift, the ability to influence. He doesn't create worlds. He doesn't breathe life, but he manipulates those who can. He doesn't force your hand. He guides your thoughts, subtly, invisibly, like smoke filling a room while you're still admiring the candle. His war isn't about swords. It's about stories. Stories where evil looks justified and goodness looks naive. He crafts lies not by denying truth, but by distorting it. He doesn't say, "There is no God." He says, "God is holding you back," the same way he spoke in Eden. Not a denial, a question, a twist. He knows that true evil rarely arrives with terror. It arrives with temptation, a shortcut, a compromise, a throne without a cost. He became the prince of this world not by overthrowing it, but by seducing it. Kingdoms rise on ambition, fall by corruption, and in every corner where power eclipses mercy, where pride silences conscience, his fingerprints are there, not in blood but in applause, because he learned long ago that people fear monsters, but follow idols. His name is invoked across cultures, Satan, Shaitan, Iblis, the devil, but the root is the same, the opposer, the one who said no to light. He doesn't care what name you give him, as long as you follow the echo of his rebellion, as long as you believe you don't need grace, that you are enough, that you are your own God. That's the voice that fell from heaven and still speaks softly today. But there is a deeper wound that he carries, one far greater than his exile. He is eternally aware of what he once was. Every moment of darkness is a reminder of lost light. Every lie he tells is a scream against the truth he once loved. He doesn't merely hate God, he resents what he can never be again. He envies not just power but peace, because he knows something few understand. Real authority doesn't need to shout. Real kings serve. Real glory comes from surrender, not control. That's why he despises the cross, not because it was defeat, but because it was victory through humility, a kind of victory he could never comprehend. Lucifer's tragedy is not simply that he fell, it's that he continues to fall, deeper into bitterness, further from love, endlessly trying to build a throne on ashes. But no matter how high he climbs, he cannot outrun what he gave up. And that torment is more consuming than any fire. And yet, for all his rage, he still operates on borrowed time. His rebellion is real, his influence is vast, but his defeat is certain. He is not the king of hell. He is the prisoner of pride. And one day even that will end. Until then he watches, not from shadows but from spotlights, from screens, from platforms, from voices that praise self above all. He doesn't demand worship, he invites imitation. Because in every soul that chooses pride over humility, power over service, vengeance over mercy, his legacy lives on. And that's the final irony. The being who wanted to be God became the opposite. Not because he was cast down, but because he chose it. He didn't fall because he was weak. He fell because he refused to bend. And in that fall, he took everything bright and twisted it, everything holy and stained it. He writes nothing new. He only defaces what was good. He creates no beauty. He only corrupts what was beautiful. Because in the end, darkness has no substance. It's just the absence of light. So when people say Satan is terrifying, it's not because of his horns or his fire. It's because he reflects what any of us could become without grace. The most beautiful angel, undone by the weight of his own ego, a creature of light, consumed by his own shadow. And every time we believe we are above forgiveness, above humility, above truth, we take one step closer to his path. Lucifer's story is not ancient mythology. It's the most repeated pattern in human history: pride, fall, pain, and the longing for redemption we refuse to ask for. But unlike him, we still have a choice.